All right, folks, so let's talk a little bit about a concept called defense in depth. And defense in depth really comes down to, as the name mentions or talks about, like what is it that we're trying to defend and how do we build a defensive set of mechanisms around that. So what we're trying to defend can be any number of things. Could be data that we host in our own environment, so our own data center or a server farm. Could be something that we host in a cloud environment. Could be data that we store in a third party. But really comes down to what are the different controls and defenses that we put in place to ensure that attackers can't get to it. So for a simple illustration, let's just start with something very easy. And that could be a web application that we're hosting in our own environment. Okay, that web application will likely have connectivity to a database. It's going to be accessible over the cloud, and there's going to be individuals that can access it through, let's say, a laptop or a mobile device. Okay, pretty basic structure here. And again, this is all just for simplicity's sake, so we can talk a little bit about defense in depth. Now, the idea, again, of defense in depth is that, well, we have multiple points here where things can go wrong. We have potential bad information coming from our clients. We have potential person in the middle across the internet. We have potential attacks against our web application. We have potential attacks against the data that we host in our database. We may also have individuals in our environment that are able to push code or provide support to the web application or the database. Those individuals are internal to the environment or internal to the organization, but likely they have access and they have machines that they're working on that can push code, or push changes to these environments. So what do we do in terms of a defense in depth? Now, every organization is going to look slightly different, but what we're going to start out with is a basic firewall. So we're going to have a firewall here that is going to be between our end users and our application. And that firewall is going to help stop things like denial of service attacks. It's going to look at the network traffic and ensure that that the traffic coming in looks appropriate. We're going to have certificates that are being used in this process that do TLS or that help enable TLS connectivity, which is basically an encrypted channel between the client and our web application. We're going to have encryption on our database in order to make sure that the data stays secure. We're going to have things like IDSs and IPS, or intrusion detection, intrusion prevention systems that are going to be in place along this network as well. We may have a web application firewall that is actually running either on the web application or could actually be in a cloud environment. But that's different than the network firewall, which is looking at network traffic. Web applications looking at traffic at the application layer. And we're going to have things like endpoint protection or data loss prevention on the machines that are used by the internal employees that have access to these environments. Now, again, every organization is going to have a little bit different defense in depth. The point to call this out is that every organization will implement different controls in their architecture to ensure that they stay secure against potential attacks.